As I navigated the uncharted waters of aging, I discovered that the real threats weren't just health issues, but the silent battles of isolation and forgetfulness lurking just around the corner. As I sat on my porch this sunny afternoon, the chatter of my neighbor Jean wafted over to me, mingling with the sweet scent of blooming flowers in my garden. "You know what they say, George," he chuckled, his thick mane of white hair catching the sunlight. "If you ignore the squeaky wheel, it just might roll off the cart." As we sipped our herbal teas, I was reminded of my dear friend Ralph, who had a penchant for sweeping his worries under the rug. Ralph was about the same age as I am now, 77, and believed that small annoyances, like lightheadedness or the occasional elevation in blood pressure, were just part of aging. But by the time he landed in the hospital with a serious heart issue, it was clear how misplaced his priorities had been. This incident underlined the need for vigilance regarding our health, particularly when it comes to blood pressure management, which can sneak up on us like a friendly cat at dusk. Watching Jean nod in agreement as he reminisced about Ralph, I felt the weight of that lesson settle in my heart. High blood pressure often lurks unnoticed, a silent adversary that can lead to serious complications if not addressed. I had learned to keep an eye on my own vitals, measuring my blood pressure regularly, and so should everyone else. With the accessibility of home monitors, there's no excuse to remain unaware. It's not just a number, it's a signal from our body saying, "Hey, pay attention." Adjustments in diet, like reducing salt intake, embracing a regular exercise routine. Oh, the joy of an afternoon stroll in the park isn't just a nice-to-have, but a crucial part of our longevity toolkit. The earlier we take action, the better our chances for aging gracefully and healthily. As I continued my conversation with Jean, the topic naturally shifted to another health hazard that often goes unnoticed: social isolation. "You know, George," he mused while fiddling with his prized fishing lure, "the only thing worse than bad health is bad company, or no company." This certainly struck a chord with me. As we age, the world tends to shrink. Beloved friends and family may move away, and sometimes we just lose touch. I've seen it happen with many older adults, how the absence of daily interactions can lead to feelings of loneliness and despair. In turn, studies have shown that loneliness can have serious ramifications for physical health, often worsening cardiovascular issues and even affecting immune responses. It's crucial to nurture our relationships, whether through daily visits, phone calls, or even community gatherings, as they not only bring joy but also help elevate our mental well-being. Mavis, always the advocate for social engagement, had her own spin on this topic. Sporting her vibrant floral blouse, she proclaimed, "If laughter is the best medicine, then a full house is the pharmacy." Participating in local events or simply gathering with friends for tea can have profound effects on our health. Instead of isolating ourselves, we should strive to forge connections and attend community activities that foster a sense of belonging. After all, it's in the laughter shared at a lively game night or the warmth of a shared memory that we find strength against the trials of aging. Embracing each smile and friendly face can keep our spirits and health buoyant, not merely surviving but thriving. I watched as Jean's twinkling green eyes sparkled with understanding. "You know, George," he said after a moment's thought, "you could write a book with all this wisdom." With a humble chuckle, I knew that what I was really doing was sharing a navigation map of sorts, pointing out the next potential pitfalls. One that I often encountered in fellow seniors is the neglected importance of nutrition. It seems simple enough, but when juggling medication and appointments, it's easy for balanced meals to fall to the wayside. Our bodies need the right fuel to function optimally, and incorporating fruits, vegetables, and whole grains is essential. I've seen Mavis whip up marvelous recipes with a mishmash of offerings from her garden, blending colors and flavors in ways that not only nourished but delighted. These meals play a crucial role in maintaining energy levels and preventing chronic illnesses. As I wrapped up my reflections with Jean, I felt a sense of assurance, knowing that we had the power to confront these health hazards together. The trick is to remain proactive in every way, monitoring our health, fostering connections, and fueling our bodies right. Harold, as usual, had the most astute observations, and I couldn't help but think how important it was to listen to our bodies and each other. With every conversation, we unearthed not only valuable wisdom, but a renewed hope for the years ahead. Together, we can face the challenges of aging while finding joy in the shared journey of well-being. So, what will you do today to embrace this adventure into the golden years? As I settled deeper into the chair on my porch, the familiar warmth of the afternoon sun blanketed me, and Jean's infectious laughter rang in my ears. We both shifted our focus to the next health hazard that often creeps into our lives post-75, cognitive decline. Forgetfulness can be quite a character, can't it? Jean said, scratching his chin thoughtfully. I recalled my own clumsy brush with memory lapses when I misplaced my glasses, only to find them perched on my head. It was a light-hearted moment, but it gently nudged me into a recognition of the urgency behind staying mentally engaged as we age. Statistics revealed that nearly 40% of seniors face some form of cognitive decline, which can significantly affect quality of life. Yet, the good news is that our minds are as trainable as our bodies, and there are tangible steps we can take to keep our mental faculties sharp. Take, for example, Lucy, my neighbor down the street, I continued, referring to the sprightly lady who was well into her 80s yet never missed her weekly game of bridge. She not only plays card games, but she also tackles crosswords and engages in nature walks. Just last week, she told me how she discovered a new interest in painting. It's like she's on continuous quest for knowledge. Jean leaned in, his intrigue evident as I outlined some strategies that could be woven into daily routines. Research has shown that lifelong learning and memory exercises not only bolster brain health, but also expand cognitive connections, which act as a cushion against age-related decline. Whether it's learning a new language or exploring a hobby, embracing new challenges can keep our brains agile, I affirmed. Mavis, ever the lively spirit, chimed in from her garden beside my porch, her voice chipper as a bird's morning song. I've always considered my flower arrangement classes a workout for my mind. Teaching myself the ins and outs of color theory and balance has opened up a whole new world for me. If I can make beautiful bouquets while keeping my mind active, anyone can. Her passion for creativity was contagious, and at that moment, I could see how fiercely dedicated she was to not only her artistry, but also to her mental well-being. Participating in social activities and community gatherings can galvanize mental sharpness, transforming cognitive exercises into moments of joy we share with others, not solely dry, lonely tasks. Our brain cells thrive in stimulating environments, just as my bees thrive when the flowers bloom, Mavis added, a cheerful twinkle in her eye. I turned to Jean, who was nodding vigorously, his twinkling green eyes radiating enthusiasm. You're right, George. Engaging our minds is just as vital as that afternoon walk in the park. It's all interconnected. He playfully pretended to juggle imaginary brain games, eliciting chuckles from both Mavis and me. The awareness that maintaining mental agility could very well fend off dementia was more than encouraging. It felt like a call to arms. I shared with them a few tips. Enroll in classes at the community center, attend lectures, or simply host a trivia night with friends. Keeping those connections alive and our brains active fosters a vibrant life, a theme I often reiterated as I pondered the journey of aging together. However, the conversation took a more serious turn as I acknowledged one more aspect of cognitive health that often goes overlooked: social engagement. You see, isolation can seriously dull our wits, and it creeps up on us too, I revealed gently. Jean sighed, looking closer at the patches of sun filtering through the leaves above us. You know, a few months ago, I realized I hadn't seen some of my closest fishing buddies in weeks. I could almost hear my mind rusting in idle silence. The shared laughter turned to a sober moment of realization. Studies suggest that social isolation can be just as harmful to cognitive health as many chronic conditions. The very act of connecting with others, even if it's a casual chat over herbal tea, can invigorate our minds and spirits simultaneously. Mavis, ever the unstoppable force, piped up again. "How about hosting a game night right here, George? I can roll out some freshly baked cookies and provide the goodies, and you can spruce up with your trivia facts." There was excitement in her voice. Imagine how lively it would be. Connecting with neighbors and keeping our minds sharp, two birds with one stone. The thought not only appealed to me but resonated strongly with all of us. Organizing such gatherings would provide us the opportunity not just to socialize but to avoid the clutches of mental stagnation. We could learn from one another and share laughter, hallmarks of a healthy, engaged life. So, as the sun began its descent, I felt an electrifying belief settling within. With Jean's humor, Mavis's vivacity, and our collective agreement on the importance of mental fitness, I felt we were indeed embarking on our golden years with a renewed sense of purpose. Empowering ourselves through laughter, creativity, and connection could pave the way to healthier, sharper minds as we age. What could be more invigorating than that? It was clear to me that sharing these insights and reminding each other of these simple joys could well lead to radiant, lasting memories. Would anyone dare to miss out on the wonders of a thriving mental life? As we sat on the porch soaking in the fading light, the conversation flowed seamlessly from laughter to reflection. With a shared understanding of the crucial role social engagement played in mental health, I turned the subject toward my own emotional journey after losing my beloved wife. For a while, I fell into a spell of solitude. I began, noting how Jean tilted his head with empathetic eyes. It was as if a dark cloud had settled over me. When I lost her, the days seemed longer, and I found myself tackling chores in silence. It wasn't just her absence. It felt as though my purpose was slowly fading too. I paused intentionally, wanting to create a moment for us all to absorb the weight of such a reality, one likely familiar to many in our age group. Jean, always the pragmatic observer, nodded knowingly. "Ah, George, I reckon we all have a season of sorrow tucked into our stories." I distinctly remember the long afternoons I spent alone, gazing at the worn tools in my workshop after losing Marge. Every sound echoed like her absence filling the void, making it tough to return to work. His voice wavered slightly, but the glimmer in his eyes encouraged us to laugh too. Mavis, never one to let a moment of discomfort linger, chimed in with warmth. "Well, it sounds like we both could have used a good dose of distraction. How about our next art project turning sorrow into something beautiful? Often I find it helps. Just imagine how those energies can express themselves through colors. Each brushstroke could tell our tales." That brought me back to my granddaughter, Lily, who had recently introduced me to the wonders of technology in her quest to keep me from feeling isolated. It's funny. I was adamant about staying away from screens. I recounted, smirking at the memory of my reluctance. But Lily insisted I at least try it. She set me up with video calls, and in no time, I was joining family gatherings from my living room. The very thought of her bright smile flashing across my screen illuminated the room around us. We began to share not only moments of joy, but she introduced me to local community groups online, where folks gathered to discuss art, books, and even tech support. It's powerful how connecting virtually can open doors we didn't even know existed. "That's wonderful, George. It just proves how technology can be a lifeline," Mavis responded enthusiastically, her floral blouse blooming with energy. "Who knows? You might inspire others to actually give it a go too." I had encountered many older friends resistant to the idea of using technology, often feeling like they'd missed their chance on that front. But it truly empowers us. I rushed to extol. By bridging the gaps, we can reach out to one another, share laughs, and even rekindle old friendships. My old fishing buddies? We now have a regular video call night. No fishing gear required. I chuckled thinking about the fun discussions we carried out while our lines lay unused. Jean, never one to resist a good pun, chimed in. "You mean you're all catching up instead of catching fish?" Now, that's a real thing. We enjoyed a hearty laugh, the warmth of camaraderie lightening any lingering somberness. I had unknowingly turned my experience with loss into victories over isolation, by fostering connections in all unexpected corners of life, from digital to in-person gatherings. Encouraged by my story, Gene shared how he had turned his solitude around with a local art class in the community center, saying, "When I walked into that room, I was scared, but everyone welcomed me. Finding my voice in creative expression brought colors back, quite literally. If I could paint happiness, I would wrap each of you in those vibrant strokes." Mavis leaned back, her arms crossed as she contemplated. "I think the key is to keep sharing, isn't it? As we create these connections or engage in activities, we're not just guarding against loneliness, we're actively filling our lives with meaning." Her upbeat spirit was buoyant, presenting a resonating truth that struck chords within each of us. It was not merely about staving off sadness. It revolved around recognizing that accepting help and opening our hearts and minds leads to new experiences and friendships. I felt invigorated, reflecting on how the act of reaching out, whether it was a simple, casual check-in or a vibrant community gathering, evolved into something meaningful for our shared journeys. The sun dipped lower, casting a golden hue, as we savored the realization of how easily isolation could squeeze life's joy right out of our golden years. The laughter, creativity, and conversations we shared felt like a protective shield against loneliness. With genuine encouragement from my comrades as well as the pursuing spirit of staying connected, I recognized that we had the power within us to cultivate our happiness. We must remember it's not simply about existing, I mused. It's about living fully, with purpose, heart, and laughter. So, what shall we do this weekend? Let's gather our friends, set up that game night, and see just how much joy we can stir into the air like a spontaneous explosion of color. The prospect excited me, and it was clear that we were much more than acquaintances on this aging journey. We were building a tapestry of shared experiences, support, and love. What could be more fulfilling than that? As the laughter faded and the sun settled into a warm embrace with the horizon, I took a moment to ponder the intricacies of health as we age. One particular health hazard that loomed larger than many realized was osteoporosis, which often led to unexpected falls among people our age. Just a few months ago, a dear friend of mine, Ralph, took a tumble in his garden while trying to plant some tulips. A simple trip over his own pesky shoelace, he had told me, led to a broken wrist and a hospital stay that reminded us all how fragile our bones can be. It served as an eye-opener, illustrating how quickly one misstep can spiral into something more serious. One moment, Ralph was enjoying the vibrant life around him. The next, he was laid up, relegated to the sidelines of his garden that once flourished under his careful watch. With Gene listening intently, I couldn't help but share how his experience with woodworking had played a part in influencing my thoughts on prevention. "You know, Gene, in my years of practice, I've seen a recurring theme." I began, the words spilling out with purpose. "It's not just about the accidents we encounter. It's about preparing our bodies long before such incidents even arise. Strength training and balance exercises can be our allies. You and I both understand the value of maintaining strong bones, especially as they outnumber the years we've lived." I placed emphasis on the simple yet effective practices, like doing squats or a few leg lifts while watching television, movements that may seem mundane but are essential in fortifying our skeletal system. Gene took a moment, his thoughtful gaze betraying the hilarity that often adorned his features, and he replied, "Well, never thought I'd hear doing leg lifts and make it sound so important." Mavis brightened, as she often did when the conversation veered toward taking meaningful action. "You've mentioned Ralph a couple of times, and it's clear how impactful that experience has been. But how about combining humor with our exercise endeavors? Let's say we host a balance boot camp. I can see it now. Balance method with Gene, where you show off those fine moves," she teased, laughter shimmering in her voice. The idea sparked excitement in my chest. We could create a community class right here on the lawn, perhaps adding in some woodwork excursions for Gene to help others understand the beauty of craftsmanship, all the while reminding everyone to stretch those bones and keep them strong. It would be more than a class. It would be a celebration of life and resilience, lifting spirits and ensuring physical health in the process. This brought me to consider my current routine and how I could enhance it. I devised a plan, starting with small strides, introducing a gentle yoga session in my backyard, which would not only improve flexibility, but also community connection. "Let's get the entire neighborhood involved," I continued, inspired. "Imagine a gathering of energy, the laughter, encouragement, and stories shared while we engage in mindful movement. It could create new friendships and revive past ones while we strengthen our foundation together." I shared my vision, sensing a swell of enthusiasm, and I could see Gene's mischievous spirit glinting, already picturing himself as our unofficial motivational speaker, perhaps equipped with a workshop apron and some floral prints made by Mavis's latest crafting session. The sun, glowing like a diminishing lantern, painted our faces with its brightness, spurring conviction in my next statement. What I truly believe is empowering about addressing our health hazards is that it brings us together. Every moment we dedicate to our physical well-being isn't just about surviving longer. It's about living more richly. Every yoga pose, every laugh shared during balance exercises reminds us that there's still a fireside of strength within us. Gene couldn't help but pipe up, "Count me in, George. As long as there's no falling involved, I wouldn't mind sharing my moves." His humor reminded us that while the topics we conversed about could feel heavy, engaging with them lightheartedly made them manageable. Mavis clapped her hands together, her floral blouse swaying in the gentle breeze. "I love where this is going. Let's make it a community affair, a gardening, yoga painting, fish bake festival. We bring our talents together like a quilt stitched with love and laughter. We can keep our bones strong and our hearts even stronger." Her words wrapped around us like a warm and inviting embrace, filling the void with purpose and intention. We all nodded in agreement, visions of laughter and camaraderie planted in our minds. I could already see neighbors coming together, Red, the witty poet from across the street, offering his rhymes. Mary, who could bake a pie that'd make anyone swoon, forming an unshakable bond over shared goals and simple joys. It was then, in this shared moment of expectancy, that I understood the essence of our gathering. Together, we held the power to shape not only our stories, but our health and happiness into a vibrant tapestry. In the act of embracing the journey, encouraging one another through the minor hazards that came with aging, we found purpose and strength in community. What could be better than to lift each other up? So, I declared with fervor, let's not wait for danger's doorstep to remind us of our tenacity. We can choose to engage, to move, and to live with intention, sharing both our challenges and our triumphs. Let's plan this festival and make it something extraordinary. With renewed energy, we embraced the horizon of possibilities, knowing together we could tackle anything life threw our way. The laughter and excitement at our simple porch gathering had cemented a hopeful vision. What lay